Hey, everybody. PBSC podcast hosts Mark and Steve here with a special message about our revolutionary online recovery program for addict spouses and couples called Dare to Connect. Multiple times every week, we get messages from subscribers in the program. They're people just like you. They're trying to heal from the devastation of sex and porn addiction and betrayal trauma. And here's a few of our most recent submissions. Here's one from an addict in recovery. It says, D2C has principles that everyone should utilize regardless of their circumstances. It doesn't matter your coping mechanisms. It matters that you want to work towards genuine connection with your partner.
That's awesome. Another testimony from an addict continues on. My wife is just starting out in training as a licensed therapist. Dare to Connect has been far more useful to her than her degree.
Wow.
The way Mark and Steve apply what they've learned is always so redemptive. D2C has opened doors for my relationship that I thought would be shut forever. Mark and Steve are an incredible resource of information on the subject of sex addiction and betrayal trauma. We could not do this journey without their help.
Here's one from a partner who's been with us for nearly a year. I want you both to know that it is because of you guys and D2C that I'm able to be in the place that I am today. I will always be grateful to you both for your feedback and prompt replies to my questions. I can't even come close to putting it into words how valuable my time spent with y'all this past year has been to my life. Thank you for everything you taught me about betrayal trauma and boundaries and thinking errors and loving myself and making myself a priority and standing up for myself.
Love that submission. And then as we close out here today, guys, one more account from another addict in recovery. I wish I had a platform like this 14 years ago where I could have learned and done the hard work of recovery before I had done all this damage to myself and to my spouse. And to be candid with all of you, that's exactly why we created Dare to Connect. Mark and I found ourselves in that place. Messages like these and the others like them, they're what Dare to Connect really is all about, guys, and why Mark and I do what we do. Whether you're an addict or a partner of an addict, and no matter where you find yourself in the recovery process, Dare to Connect can take you to the next level. Don't wait another day to catapult your recovery forward. Today is your day for change. Visit us at daretoconnectnow.com to pick up your free 2-week trial of Dare to Connect today. Hey everybody, I'm Steve Moore.
And I'm Mark Castleman.
We know the pain and heartbreak of porn and sex addiction.
And we know the triumph of breaking completely free.
Every day, we help our clients find hope and healing.
Join us in the fight to take back your life, your marriage, and be stronger than ever.
This is the PBSC Squared podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the PBSC podcast. It's Steve Moore and Mark Castleman coming today with episode 322. Relationship healing lives or dies on consistent transparency. And as you can see in the title, that's been quotation. We're going to talk about why in just a second. The title is pretty direct, pretty to the point, and we wanted to do a little bit of a different take today on a common topic that comes into us in terms of submissions from listeners. And today's submission does come to us from a partner. It's not very long, so we'll go ahead and we'll read that and we'll dive right in. My husband has been in recovery for approximately 8 months from sex and or pornography addiction. We have had multiple D days or disclosure days extending from 4 years ago to the last one, which was 2 weeks after we got married. All discovery has been through a gut feeling of mine, investigation of my own, and subsequent interrogation for the truth. The last D-Day, I realized how much minimization and downplaying had been going on through initial disclosures with him. We had both been working on our own recovery through this and had a full disclosure with our 2 therapists present a month ago. So they went through a full formal disclosure with therapists involved, did the whole 9 yards, which we definitely recommend in more cases than not for couples going through this process. A week after disclosure, we followed that up with a polygraph test for him to identify if he had been complete and transparent in this full disclosure. He failed that test. I have felt shut down and numb since the results, and he repeatedly has told me, quote, I don't know why the results say that. I have told you everything I can possibly think of, unquote. Given the history of needing to interrogate in the past and knowing that that is not going to serve me and my own recovery to engage in that behavior, I am at a loss on how to move forward. It's hard to even be around him. He continues to do recovery work and attend therapy, but honestly, it feels that lying and omission, his most common form of deceiving me, she goes on to say, is so ingrained in him that I don't know how to be around him until I know what the reality of our relationship has truly been. It is so hard to continue on this journey given this result, and also the scared reality that my time to have kids is trickling away. I love this man, but staying in recovery that I don't want to put a timeline on is terrifying on how this may impact what I have wanted and desired for my future. I feel that I've sacrificed so much for him and tried to be helpful and understanding through this, but I feel like if I continue to sacrifice for a man who still lacks the motivation to be honest with me, I will miss out on a future as a mother that I yearn for. I know you can't ultimately tell me what to do, but your insight and expertise would be so appreciated.
Mm.
Uh, so a lot tied in with that. So we have a partner who's in a common situation that is not, again, not uncommon for any of you, and something that we tackle oftentimes on this podcast. And there have been many episodes that we've done over the years about dynamics that are very similar to this one. We have a spouse-husband relationship where, when at least it comes to transparency, by her own reckoning, all of that has happened through her asking questions, interrogating, her taking the proactive role and asking what's going on with him. He has never, rarely, if ever, according to her, been forthcoming about any information. They've now done a formal disclosure, and on the back of that, he failed the polygraph that followed up to kind of put a capstone on if that was truthful or not. So this wife is obviously, understandably, very upset, is struggling to find any sort of solid base. And again, we've talked about this many times from some popular angles about examining the authentic self and different skill sets. But it just so happened when this came into us that it lined up with some things that we were doing in our Dare to Connect program with addict spouses and couples. And so we thought we would take a few small portions of what we're doing there and integrate that into today as we jump in and try to respond to this partner in the difficult situation she finds herself in.
Yeah, as always, we've had a lot of partners in healing who have written to us in our Dare to Connect program, presenting some very specific situations in their relationships and asking us some very pointed and very blunt questions about how they are to deal with what's being described here. And of course, in the Dare to Connect program, we're able to be a lot more focused on individual situations and provide some very customized answers, which we've been doing with this. And we put together an entire curriculum that's taking more than a month to go over for the guys in recovery who are wanting to restore trust, who are wanting to make deposits to the relationship trust account, who are wanting to respond to their healing partners who say, I don't know you. I don't know how I can go forward in this relationship until I know the man that I'm married to. So how do we bridge this giant chasm because of all of the lying by omission, the direct lying, all of the stuff that's come out over all these years or decades.
Yeah.
And so we put together an approach that was really titled for the addicts in recovery wanting to help restore the relationship, how to show up, lean in, and lead out in the relationship. And we have we're in a really deep dive with 5 different categories of those. We're just going to mention them, and then we're going to focus on one of those 5 today in this podcast because it addresses this partner who's written into us. But those 5 are proactive presence, acknowledging impact, consistent transparency, regulated strength, and ongoing living amends. And we're, as we said, doing a deep dive extensively on all 5 of those in Dare to Connect right now. But we wanted to focus today on one of those categories, which we call consistent transparency. What it is, what it looks like, and we can talk about it from the standpoint if you're an addict in recovery listening today, or if you're a partner in healing, this is what consistent transparency looks like.
Yeah.
And Steve, as we were reading her submission, our hearts go out to her. Because she says, I don't know if I can move forward in this relationship till I know what this relationship has been. Like, what has been the truth? Now, the hard thing that we have to be very transparent ourselves about communicating to this partner and all partners who have been betrayed and are in healing. You very well will probably never know everything completely 100% accurate that has gone on in the relationship. I mean, there's just, if that's what's holding someone back, the sad part is that it's probably going to be an immovable barrier forever if that's what you're waiting for. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not saying that there shouldn't be full disclosure. Everything shouldn't be right out into the open. It should. But how will you ever know whether all of it, right down to the molecule, has been shared or whether it hasn't?
And what Mark is describing is one of the many hard but essential realities that partners have to reconcile themselves with when going through this process. There is no way to prove what has gone on in the past. When we talk about, for example, the formal disclosure process, even when we take that process to a very thorough, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but more extreme side of verification, where we are involving polygraphs and things. Polygraphs themselves, while are very much helpful, only carry, depending on who you ask, like I want to say the last time I checked, around an 85% accuracy rating, which is good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But the polygraphs are not an exact science. In many cases, they're not admissible in a court setting. And they don't, and because of how a polygraph works, we won't get into it today, but the nature of how questions are asked, you can only ask very limited, in most cases, 2 questions tied to a polygraph without starting to corrupt the results and of how they look and how polygraphs are measured. So it can be very, for spouses who are looking for the past, we obviously want to be doing everything possible and reasonable in a recovery setting, both Mark and I as therapists, as professionals, and as we navigate this with clients, be it in Dare to Connect or as we talk about this with all of you in a podcast setting, we do have to include that element that, because none of this can be concretely proven, because there is no, as of yet, as of the day of this recording, March 3rd, 2026, either there is none or no one has shared with me the time machine required to go back and check these things out personally. There is an element of recovery. If you're going to move forward in a relationship, there has to be an embracement and an acceptance of the reality that, whether it's due to multiple reasons, being lost to time and the extent and the nature of, or the period of time over which things have happened, be it due to various factors, and then what we just listed, it's impossible to put some sort of a gold stamp certificate on a disclosure that says this is exactly what happened, 100%, nothing left out. It's all accurate as it's recalled, right? I mean, and that can't be created. And the other thing that we need to keep in mind as well, and we know that that's a frustrating piece, so stay with us, partners, before you throw your radio or punch your radio in the car as you're listening, or throw your phone or whatever it is you're using to listen, is that even if that were possible, because Mark and I have tackled this topic with many partners in many situations over decades, even if it were possible mythically to somehow do that, what we have found in talking with partners and as we've examined the question ourselves, we're pretty confident in saying that for most, it would not give the kind of safety that a partner is looking for, because a foreshore knowledge about the past is not attainable in that strict regimented sense that Mark is describing. But even if it were, relationship safety is not created. It's created less so by what has occurred and is created more so by what is happening now and where things are going.
Well, and
Um,
that's what we wanted to really, focus on here as
yes.
we talk about this concept of consistent transparency. Because I can just hear partners out there listening right now. Okay, guys, that's great. So I'll never have a 100% accurate, absolute every fact shared with me about the past. So what am I supposed to do exactly then? I'm supposed to just go forward with this guy, trusting that sufficient has been revealed, not really
And that
knowing him
change has really
entirely.
happened because of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys are asking me to do? We're saying no, because what do we always say? Trust but verify. Well, you're telling me that I can never know the full past. That's true, but here's what we want to focus on today. What you can know is what's happening now.
Yes.
What does consistent transparency look like now? And we want to go over, we're going to cover here briefly five main points about this consistent transparency that we hope all the addicts in recovery are listening. If you want to know how to show up and lean in and lead out with your betrayed partners, here we go. And you betrayed partners in healing, if you want to know what your boundaries, your wants and needs should look like going forward, we're going to share them now.
Yeah.
So Steve, let's talk about this first one. To me, this first one is huge.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
addict should be looking to do what? Which this literally scared me to death in my early to mid recovery because I did not want to be the guy doing this. And what
Well,
would I
it's
what would I say when anyone suggest, "Whoa, wait, you're asking me to open a Pandora's box,
mm,
which I can't control and I don't have any way to measure what's going to happen. No
yeah.
way." Right?
Well, and it's only four words, but we're going to expand on it quite a bit here as we talk about this, and it's the volunteering information and insight on the part of the addict. So
Wow.
volunteering information and insight. No,
Mm-hmm.
yesterday Mark was actually absent in Dare to Connect. He had some things to take care of, and so I was running the session alone, which is pretty rare. We don't do that very often. And as we talked about this literally just yesterday with the addicts in our Monday's addict session, I asked the guys. I said, what is the difference to you between information and insight? Right?
Mm.
Because our program is a live service. It meets anyone where they are right now. One of the many benefits of being in Dare to Connect is that there are a lot of new guys in there. There's a lot of guys in there who have been there for quite some time. And one guy talked about information. He said, "Are to me are facts, right? They're the occurrences." I kind of expanded on that with the guys. It's sort of the list of it's it's the narrative. Insight is all about the why, the how, the emotions tied to something, the hopes, the fears, the hesitations, uh, the reasons. Right? Insight is everything outside of the factual piece, and insight we have found time and again, Mark and I in our work. And while information is obviously important, insight is more so for a few reasons. The first is insight. Well, let's just talk turkey. Insight is much more difficult to fake. Okay, let's just talk about the practical reality.
Totally.
Anyone can say I went to a 12-step meeting. I went to a 12-step meeting. Okay, there you go. You went to a 12-step meeting. Well, Lottie freaking da. Well, what the hell happened at the 12-step meeting? Like, what did you learn? How did you grow? Were you were you sitting there sobbing because you were connected with how much this was relating to your marriage, or were you on your phone playing Angry Birds? Like, what were you doing? I mean, that doesn't really mean much. But when we start talking about the insight piece, that is all about here are the things that I thought about. This is how this related to me personally or to our relationship.
Yeah.
Um, these are the
Here were
these
the
are
here were
some
the
of the things.
fears that I
Yeah.
had. Here was the stuff that I bristled to and resisted.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what resonated with me. You
Yeah.
can't just make that crap up.
Yeah.
Or I could spew out all sorts of facts, but
Well,
insight yeah. And this is what, how many times have we heard betrayed partner Steve express to us, that's what I'm yearning for from my addict partner. For
Correct.
him to, they'll word it like things like, for him to show me his heart, for him to let himself be known, right? For him to really share from his inside out. We hear that all the time.
Well, because when you talk about what really formulates the structure of what actually makes a marriage or a committed relationship work, it isn't a list of facts. People don't they may be set up to a degree for a relationship because they know certain facts about another person. But what makes a marriage work isn't because your facts line up with my facts. What makes a relationship work is because daily, consistently, I feel chosen by you or pursued by you, and likewise you by me.
Yes.
That's how a relationship works, metaphorically speaking, with boots on the ground. And the insight is all of that, right?
And what's
That's what
and
encapsulates that.
Hey, everybody, PBSE podcast hosts Mark and Steve here with a special message about our revolutionary online recovery program for addict spouses and couples called Dare to Connect. Multiple times every week, we get messages from subscribers in the program. They're people just like you. They're trying to heal from the devastation of sex and porn addiction and betrayal trauma. And here's a few of our most recent submissions. Here's one from an addict in recovery. It says, D2C has principles that everyone should utilize regardless of their circumstances. It doesn't matter your coping mechanisms. It matters that you want to work towards genuine connection with your partner.
That's awesome. Another testimony from an addict continues on. My wife is just starting out in training as a licensed therapist. Dare to Connect has been far more useful to her than her degree.
Wow.
The way Mark and Steve apply what they've learned is always so redemptive. D2C has opened doors for my relationship that I thought would be shut forever. Mark and Steve are an incredible resource of information on the subject of sex addiction and betrayal trauma. We could not do this journey without their help.
Here's one from a partner who's been with us for nearly a year. I want you both to know that it is because of you guys and D2C that I'm able to be in the place that I am today. I will always be grateful to you both for your feedback and prompt replies to my questions. I can't even come close to putting it into words how valuable my time spent with y'all this past year has been to my life. Thank you for everything you taught me about betrayal trauma and boundaries and thinking errors and loving myself and making myself a priority and standing up for myself.
Love that. Love that submission. And then as we close out here today, guys, one more account from another addict in recovery. I wish I had a platform like this 14 years ago where I could have learned and done the hard work of recovery before I had done all this damage to myself and to my spouse. And to be candid with all of you, that's exactly why we created Dare to Connect. Mark and I found ourselves in that place. Messages like these and the others like them, they're what Dare to Connect really is all about, guys, and why Mark and I do what we do. Whether you're an addict or a partner of an addict, and no matter where you find yourself in the recovery process, Dare to Connect can take you to the next level. Don't wait another day to catapult your recovery forward. Today is your day for change. Visit us at daretoconnectnow.com to pick up your free 2-week trial of Dare to Connect today.
And a key word, volunteering.
Yes.
Well, and that's the one that scared the living daylights out of me. I always waited for my partner to lead out and to ask me questions, right? To drill down on what she really wanted to know. And I would just hang back until I was prompted or forced or pressured or whatever. And then I would reluctantly share information and insights. But this
Yes.
is about volunteering. This is the leading out and the leaning in and the showing up. I don't wait to be reminded again, to be prodded again. I am volunteering. I am looking for opportunities to share. I'm looking for reasons to show my inside. It's a critical factor in this consistent transparency.
It never ceases to amaze me as I look back over the years, and I've talked to, spouse after spouse after spouse, how consistently over time, when you kind of gauge the emotional discord that comes from different parts of betrayal and the ongoing elements around healing, I think it's natural for most people to think that, well, of course, most of that discord, most of that energy would be centered around the betrayal itself, right? The deception, the actions that were taken or not taken, right? Those things. And it's true, those weigh heavily. But especially at the beginning. But in the long term, what Mark and I have heard from partner after partner after partner, almost without exception, it's not 100%, but almost without exception, is that in the long term, what erodes and destroys a relationship the most isn't that initial betrayal. It's this constant feeling of one-sided pursuit where I as a partner am consistently putting in more effort into this relationship, into healing it, into making it work, into hounding him down, into tracking him down and getting the truth and the whatever, and him doing less so of that, if not outright fighting it outright. That we see sabotage in the long term far more relationships.
Totally agree.
It's
Right.
the
And
slow but steady killer every single time. Partners get to the point where they're just, in the words of my wife, I'm just exhausted. It's
yep,
Brittany's term for this was it's too much hard. I can't keep doing this much hard. That's how she termed it. I can't
yep,
keep doing this much hard.
much hard.
It's
It's
hard all
like
the
pulling,
time. This relationship is constantly hard.
yeah, it's like pulling teeth to get anything out of you.
Yes,
Right. And
it's
it's the
not like
next,
hard good times bad times. It's just always I'm tracking you down, always trying to know what you're thinking, always trying to whatever. That's all I do, you know.
yeah. And it leads to our next point, sharing emotions and internal struggles before being asked. Oh my gosh. I was a closed book until my wife would ask, would prod, would finally get so upset and so exhausted from my stoicness and silence that I finally would say, okay, I'm going to try to put out this fire now that I've created with her. So yeah, I'll share.
Well, and
No,
even when
this,
you'd put that fire out, Mark, how well did you put it out? We addicts, we
yeah,
were so distant to this stuff. I mean, we weren't even cultivating or working on or even trying to be in a space to answer those questions, even if we really wanted to anyway.
no. When she would ask, I would finally answer it. It wasn't at the deep level that we're talking about. And there's a very common thing we hear from partners in healing all the time. So my husband or my partner's been in recovery for this many months, and when I ask him how he's doing, he just says, "Fine, I'm doing fine."
Mm.
And one of the things that partners just say they cannot accept. Wait, let me get this straight. You struggled with this from the time that you were 8 years old, or 12 years old, or 14 years old. It's been going on for years or decades, and now what you tell me is you don't have those struggles anymore.
Mm.
Drives betrayed partners crazy,
Yes, it does.
right? How many of us in recovery as guys are sharing our internal struggles? What we're afraid of? What is ticking me off today? What's scaring me? What's really hitting me deeply? My fears, my concerns, my hopes, my dreams, right? My internal. Am I sharing that? We've had guys say, "Well, that's just not me. I just don't share. That's just not my personality. That just doesn't come natural to me." And we talk about then start with where you are and share that struggle. I'm scared to death to try to open up to you right now. I don't even know how to open up. And here's what I'm feeling about that, but I'm sharing right now to try, right? Even that is a beginning, right?
Yeah.
So then we get to the third point, which we've been talking all about this, Steve, this whole time, right? Living visibly and honestly, not privately and secretly.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I had opened myself to that concept for so many for a couple of decades, because I lived privately and secretly, not visibly and honestly.
Well, and it's important. We're very much mindful of the addicts who are listening to this discussion, as well as in addition to partners. Mark and I, better than most, uh, for any addicts out there who struggle with this, we get you, we get it.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
and
Yes.
let's expand on that for a second. I mean, Mark and
Sure.
I, we've shared both of our histories on here in different pieces over the years on the podcast. We're both addicts in long-term recovery. We both come from heavily traumatized backgrounds. We both come from situations and experiences in life that through various forms and means, we've learned many of the same lessons left to our own pre-recovery that you learned, which is that it's not safe, it's not kosher, it's not acceptable or desirable or whatever it is to be vulnerable, to be open, to be those things. We learned, and whatever gaps the world didn't create in that mantra of never share, our own shame did a really good job of just like cementing in any of the little cracks, that any of that missed.
Oh yeah. What did our brains learn? To stay safe, you stay private and you stay secret. That's how you're safe.
There's that scene in Lord of the Rings that comes to mind when we talk about this. It's I think it's Gandalf the wizard, and I can't
He's
remember if he's
asking,
talking. Is he talking about the ring where he says keep it
he is,
secret, keep it safe?
he comes back and he looks at Frodo and says, "Is it secret? Is it safe?"
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And this is you are none of us here, guys, are ring bearers hauling the ring on some sort of medieval spec ops mission to Mount Doom. Okay, we are here signing up to be transparent in relationships and partners with our spouses or committed people, and you living privately and secretly. I mean, let's just say it as plainly as we can. Living privately and secretly on that level is not compatible with intimacy. They run
No,
counterculture to one another.
they do. Yep.
Being in a relationship means physical intimacy is opening up and literally embracing your partner, good parts, bad parts, and all of it, undressing and disrobing beforehand. And emotional intimacy works exactly the same way in a non-sexual way. Trying to partners, too many partners out there, metaphorically speaking, are tired of trying to emotionally copulate with their partner with their clothes on. You can't cultivate intimacy if you're not willing to get vulnerable, if you're not willing to open up. We have to find ways, and it is our responsibility to do that. We connect with the fact that you may not have been the one that signed up to be private and secret. In fact, we know you aren't because we were wired for vulnerability and connection. Secrecy and holding back, deception are learned behaviors.
Absolutely.
They're not natural behaviors. They're learned.
Yep.
We practice them. We are pushed to them. We are lots of things take us to them, and they can be unlearned. And it's up to us as the ones who led the charge into hurt and harm and catastrophe in this relationship to lead the charge in healing not just the relationship, but by corollary, working on those same things for ourselves individually. We have to cultivate and work on the tools to do that. If only there were a program out there that you could come to with your partner and learn how to do that.
Yep.
We would
work
love to have you come to our Dare to Connect program and learn all about that, guys. Love to have you come. 2-week free trial, daretoconnectnow.com. Get your butts in there. If you're liking what you're hearing today, you'll love the program. Again,
Yep.
daretoconnectnow.com for a 2-week free trial.
These guys learn how to live visibly and honestly all the time. Every one
Absolutely.
of our sessions here
So
in our
so come
program.
and come and join us. But wherever you learn that, guys, it is our responsibility. So long as you remain in that world, and again, you're hearing it from two guys who've done it. This is not clinical theory. This is life. This is the life that Mark and I lived. Okay, we've been a you. We've been a Tom or a George or a Phil or a whoever you are. We've been that. We've lived it. There's nothing at the bottom of that barrel. One addict to another. There's just nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for more misery and more of the same. So
Let's finish up with a couple of other points. This next one is this next one is, well, they're all critical, but this one especially jumps out at me. Taking consistent action that match your words. How many of us guys are great at talk and making promises and commitments with our words, but our actions do not back it up on a consistent basis? We
yeah.
hear betrayed partners who express the heartache of this all the time. He apologizes. He says that he's going to be different. He says that this time is going to be real. He's going to be honest from now on. He's gonna fill in the blank. And then I don't see the consistent action behind the words that he speaks. Our guidance to guys that we work with all the time is, if you are better off not making a commitment, not uttering an apology, not saying the words, if you do not fully intend to back them up with action, then don't say anything, because you're going to make a massive withdrawal from the trust account. Every
Yeah.
time you speak words that don't have action that follows through, you make massive withdrawals from that trust account.
Yeah. A
This
couple
one's
years ago in
huge.
Dare to Connect, we had this massive discussion during an addict session about this topic in a different format. Mark, you know what we talked about the entire hour, everybody? The importance of taking out the garbage.
When you say you're going to. Yeah.
When you make a commitment, however small it is, guys, it is impossible to build and cultivate or destroy trust in any one area. Okay, the cultivation and building, or the destruction and tearing down of trust, happens across the relationship spectrum. You can't tear it down sexually and somehow keep it intact in your kitchen duties. Likewise, you can't build it up in the daily, seemingly mundane tasks without it having a positive impact on the other side. Okay, we are
Yep.
we are all products of our reality, including your spouse's traumatized brain. It is constantly forming and reformulating what reality it lives on, and based on the evidence and the experiences it has on every single day.
Yep.
And that's where the consistent component comes from. As both Mark and I's wives have said in different ways and shapes and forms, talk is cheap. I am done. Just freaking show me.
My wife, she
Don't
developed that.
don't tell
She
me that
started actually
anymore.
started saying it outright. She would
Just
actually,
just say
yeah,
just show
yep.
me.
Talk is cheap. Show me. That became her go-to phrase to hold her boundaries.
For many partners
And
that we work with, the minute guys start talking, honestly, it actually is quite triggering.
it is,
I want to hear another word.
yep.
I just
I
want to
just,
see change.
I want to see results.
It's not
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
job to figure this out for you. It's not my job to it, because again, guys, hopefully you're getting, and partners that you're listening. Hopefully, this partner, we hope that as she's listening, she's getting an understanding of what she should be expecting from an addict. Okay, as we are going through this, it's important for you to know, if I was a betrayed partner and I was looking to change things in this relationship, and I was struggling with this dilemma of, well, what's the past, and I can't ever really know it, and now I feel like I'm hosed. What am I going to do? Well, if all I can really control is the current and the going forward, this is what I would be demanding in a relationship.
All the things we've talked
Demanding.
about today. Yep. Every one of them.
An
Every one
addict
of
in serious recovery is willing to deliver in these 5 areas. Now, we're only talking about one today, and as luck would have it, if you want to hear about the other four, we're not even getting into into the one we're talking about today in full detail. Again, come join us at daretoconnectnow.com. The recordings for those other 4 areas are up right now in real time in our recorded section.
Let's finish up with this
Um,
very last one, Steve. This one was crazy hard, scary, terrifying for me to adopt into my life. Prompt
yeah.
accountability for any dishonesty.
Mm,
Prompt accountability for any dishonesty. I learned that lying keeps you safe so well as a kid that I took it into my adult life, and it showed up everywhere. I would omit information. I would embellish. I would withhold certain things. I would twist the truth just a bit. I would do outright lying. It was everywhere in my life. And when I really got serious about wanting to live as an honest man transparently, this is an area that I had to work on very aggressively. When I would be on a phone call with somebody in business or a family member or someone, and I would get off that call and I realized that I engaged in any old dishonesty habits, I would pick up that damn phone and I would speed dial and redial that person's number with my terrified brain screaming at me, you can't call them back. No way. I would call them back and I would say, hey, you know what? I'm working really hard to live with total integrity and transparency in my life. The conversation we just had a few minutes ago, I withheld an important fact, and I just needed to tell you what that is. Here it is. I would own it. And it was scared the living daylights because they're going to hate me. They're never going to think of me the same way. I can't call them back. And I would call them back. And over time, that scared little boy in my brain learned, we better just tell the truth right up because Mark's just going to call him back. And it took many months of that consistent effort of owning it quickly, prompt accountability for any dishonesty, even the smallest ones. And I got to the place where I retrained that part of my brain and my nervous system to just be transparent, just tell it like it is. Critical part of this healing these relationships where we have engaged in integrity abuse with our betrayed partners. And guys, we can heal this, we can correct it, we can evolve with practice and determination and consistency into our true higher selves that are honest, transparent men. That is who we are naturally. And you can move into that space. And you betrayed partners should expect it.
Absolutely. Every recovery looks different. And we know that we recognize that each of your relationships are different, but everyone in a relationship deserves to be chosen. It's not an exact science. It's not perfect in any relationship, including one in recovery. But consistency, a continued and increasingly better pattern over time, a growing awareness of what is being felt, what is going on inside your partner's head, why they're feeling the things that they are, what their plans are for the future, not just in your relationship, but with you in general. Committed relationships deserve more than just a giant question mark in the air about what is going on.
Yep.
In fact, they can't survive with that. They just can't.
No, you both deserve to show the other your full self, to see and be seen, to know and to be known, so that we can then, with all the facts and everything out on the table, look at each other and say, what? Even with the flaws and the things that aren't perfect and all the past mistakes, everything combined together, I know all of that, or as much as a person can, and I still choose you. Do you know how huge it was for me when I finally started living transparently with my wife, and then she would look at me and say, I appreciate knowing all that. And while a lot of it's painful and not pleasant, I still, with all that information, I choose you. I didn't think that was possible, because I tried to control what I showed other people for decades and decades so that they would accept me, because if I showed my whole self, I knew I would be rejected. And I decided to live differently. Nope, here I am, good, bad, ugly, and now you get to decide if you choose me or not. But when she did, I can't tell you what that did to my sense of confidence, my sense of courage, my sense of just being seen. It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lots of love for you. Thank you for being with us on the podcast today. As always, if you like what you hear in these episodes, you will love the Dare to Connect program. Come join us at daretoconnectnow.com. Grab a 2-week free trial of the program. We'd love to have you come join us, level up your recovery, and take it up to the next plateau. We want to see couples grow. We want to see them flourish. We want to see them better. Whether betrayal just happened yesterday, or whether you've been at this for years and are looking as a way to maintain or grow further, we'd invite you to come join us and check us out at daretoconnectnow.com. For all those who are looking to send us an episode for consideration in the form of a question, you're also welcome to do so by going to that same website and tragically clicking on the link that bypasses the good link, which is daretoconnectnow.com. So you can sign up and click on the PBSC logo up at the top of the form, and that will take you to a page where you can send us a message, and we will consider those for future podcasts, usually between 4 to 6 weeks out with the backlog that we usually have. So, yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for being with us here again today. Appreciate all of you all across the planet, and wish you all forward progress that you can experience, and we'll pick things up in our next episode.
Sounds great. Have a great day, guys.
Everything expressed on the PBSC podcast are the opinions of the hosts and the participants, and is for informational and educational purposes only. This podcast should not be considered mental health therapy or as a substitute thereof. It is strongly recommended that you seek out the clinical guidance of an individual qualified mental health professional. If you're experiencing thoughts of suicide, self-harm, or a desire to harm others, please dial 911 or go to your nearest emergency room.